Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill Football Friday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Actually, Hunt and A-Bear, more properly put. I'm Hunt Palmer. He's T-Bob A-Bear, not Jeremy Hill.
Ooh.
Didn't run for 1,000. Just paved the way at times.
Did not average 8 yards a carry, whatever ridiculous
You had a
number.
kickoff return, didn't you?
Average 13 yards, so I did kind of average 8 yards a carry. That's a good point, Hunt. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Look, I walked in and saw your stuff over here. This is kind of the lead chair, and I wanted to assert my dominance.
Yeah.
That's generally how I handle myself, and wanted to just kind of move you back over there. But you spent a lot of time over there in a previous life. So
That's what I was going to say. It feels very good to be back here on this side of the equation and just kind of chilling, just kind of vibing off whatever you're throwing out. Also, even though you're thanking me, this is honestly this is very owed to you, given the time that you used to put in to old school off the bench whenever somebody would be out, and Jordy would hit you up constantly to come do the entire show for free. So at least
before going to work,
yeah. So at least you're getting paid now.
That's true. That is true.
Now I get to pay you back a little bit for the many hours that you gave us back in the day.
I do miss getting up and like going into the studio on Friday morning before going to work. It was just a nice get ready to roll Friday, because on Friday there's either a football game that coming up, a basketball game that Saturday, baseball series coming up. It was just a good little kickstart to the old Friday, but
no and I miss having you on Friday as well. But that's not what I'm talking about. Because I agree with you, but I'm talking about we just used to have you hey, come do the entire show for free and come work, and it doesn't matter, and you're good to go. But no, I've not left this room since this morning. I left to go to the bathroom for a little bit, I suppose. But we drank champagne, we had some good times, and
it appears that champagne kind of got you kind of feeling things about Ole Miss. I mean, they're really in your kitchen right now.
It got me in my true feelings. The champagne combined with the latest Ole Miss football video, which is all about clowning Coach O for the sissy blue comment and showing their blue uniforms they're going to wear this weekend. And then I started thinking back, and I think about the post yesterday where they're beckoning to a tiny little baby tiger. And I'm like, what world do we live in? Ole Miss, when's the last time you won this game?
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
2015. I think we learned that this morning.
Mint said that.
They won it since 2015. You bums. And so it got to me. I'm like, dude, go to hell, Ole Miss. Get the hell out of here. How about LSU rolls you up for a second year in a row when you should have won? And I honestly, I hope Malik Neighbors scores a touchdown and just dumps in the Manning end zone. Just as a celebration, just drops his pants and takes a full-on steaming fecal party there in the middle of the Manning name. That's what I hope for. You're doing this just to recruit Arch Manning.
So not an Elijah Moore fake urination. You're talking actual defecation at this point.
Okay, to be fair, that actual defecation probably crosses the line. Okay. So I'll take fake defecation. Okay. You're right, like Elijah Moore did.
That's right.
Which actually
in the Egg Bowl.
If you're an Ole Miss fan,
set up a chain of events that just went absolutely nuts.
And if you're an Ole Miss fan, Elijah Moore fake peeing leads to Lane Kiffin. So you're actually even more happy than you were at the time when he did it.
Here's what I was thinking about earlier is when you get the schedule and you start looking, okay, well, where are the road games? Okay, Kentucky, that's not a tough spot to play, not a very good environment. You look Ole Miss, Vaught Hemingway. Hold on a second. Kentucky set an attendance record when we went there because they were 5-0 for the first time, and they were trying to be 6-0 for the first time since the 50s.
Yeah.
And then this is Eli's jersey, Arch Manning, Lane Kiffin's coming in pregame saying, hey, when we went to Alabama, it was pretty crazy. And hey, when we went to Tennessee, that was pretty nuts. It's going to be jumping in Oxford tomorrow. They all of a sudden have turned two of the more mild atmospheres in the conference to turned up a couple notches.
That is actually a really good point when you couple them in Kentucky together, because generally Kentucky would be we were talking about it this morning. I mean, Vanderbilt's at the bottom. Missouri's probably right above that. And then after that, you are into probably traditionally Kentucky right there. And then you're kind of arguing between Ole Miss and who else I just had in my brain. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's the point, though, right?
Missouri.
Ole Miss is well, I would put Missouri right above Vanderbilt. But granted, I don't have a lot of experience with the
it's the only one I haven't been to.
Missouri situation. But the point being, yes, traditionally Kentucky not a good spot. You saw it at its apex. Traditionally, Ole Miss really for all its tailgating prowess, a bottom 10, 11 type of spot in the SEC from a stadium standpoint. But you will be seeing, at least pregame, maximum potential Vaught Hemingway. It just depends on how much maximum potential Vaught actually matters.
Yeah, I did Throwback Thursday yesterday on the 03 game and going back and rewatching that and then talking to Jack Hunt after. It was a really good atmosphere that day. They were trying to win the West for the first time ever and hadn't won an SEC championship since the 60s. So that's still on the table for them. So I think they're going to be pretty fired up for the game. Here's something interesting I heard. I was listening to the Rivals guys from Ole Miss do a really good job, Neil McCready and Chase Parham, and I was listening to one of their podcasts. Here's a developing theory in Oxford that was actually a caller brought it up, and they fleshed it out and said, this kind of makes sense. There's a thought that the Ole Miss PR department planted the question about Corral on Monday to Kiffin, and that Kiffin rehearsed the answer about his injury. They said he practiced how to answer it, how to phrase it, the way to go, because he never talks about injuries at all. Apparently, he always answers with, we don't talk about injuries. Yes. We hope he's going to play. And he said, well, I don't feel great about it. He never divulges that. The thought is the Ole Miss PR department is playing this. Corral is carrying this team, and he's hurt. He needs to win the Heisman. It's a PR machine. Rocking in Oxford, I kind of like the move. I respect the move.
I mean, look, McCready would know, if anybody would know about Ole Miss, certainly. And I respect the move from a PR standpoint. That said, I don't think, obviously, you're right. From a Heisman standpoint, it works. You're not catching anybody off guard around here, though, right?
No, O said that. He's like, we know he's going to play.
He's like, I know my buddy Lane. I don't buy that. I don't buy that BS. And again, the ultimate red flag is that Lane deviated from his traditional injury answer response, right? So, no, I expect Corral to play, but I don't think his body's feeling good.
No, that's what they said. They're like, look, I don't disagree with the fact that he probably woke up Sunday and even Monday thinking this doesn't feel great, but the fact that the possibility of him not playing in the game does not exist.
So that's what I'm saying, dude. So maybe you touch him up a little bit. We talked about it this morning. If I'm that LSU defense, you never set out and you're like, I want to tear this guy's ACL. That's horrible, right? But you do set out to be like, I want to inflict pain upon this person in a traditional just smashing the other person way. And so I think it should absolutely be at the forefront of this LSU's defense's minds because, look, you're going to struggle to stop this Ole Miss offense. You just will. I mean, you just look at what they do, you just will. So you have to try to mitigate it. You have to try to contain it. Well, one of the most tried and true ways to do that on the football field is over time, right? Like body blows in a boxing fight, right? You just keep hitting a person until they don't really want to hit anymore. Yeah. And they may still be playing the game of football, but they're not playing like they should be. Look at Florida's defense last week. They wanted no part of TDP. After he started to lay the wood a few times and the O-line's getting after their ass, you saw guys, all of a sudden guys that were coming up to hit earlier, they're going to arm tackle later, right? Because they were hurting. That hurts. Okay, so make Matt Corral hurt. If he wants to run the ball, he's their leading rusher. If you want to do that, okay, that's all well and good, but there is a price to be paid.
You mentioned you never want to go out there and hurt anybody, and this thing flashed in my head. My dad is he's rather competitive and often absurd at times. He has mentioned that he was the special teams coordinator at LSU. He would send a walk-on in full pads as a gunner at Nick Saban on the opening kickoff. I said, well, I think you might get arrested for that.
That's assault, brother. At that point, we're getting into legal ramifications potentially. Hell, I don't know, though. Sean Payton got his knee taken out on the sideline that one time.
That's true. I mean, Derek Dooley's out there on crutches,
Ripped our boy Jarrett Roser, who unfortunately caught a horrible leg injury the other day.
Jarrett's
is that right? Yeah.
At a high school game?
Yeah, at a high school game a couple weeks back. You're going to get through this, Jared. It's all good, bro. Keep grinding.
I hate to see that. But I think it's going to be a wild weekend in Oxford. The whole Lane Kiffin Knoxville thing, it doesn't really play with O, and he's been there, but they don't like him at all. It's not that he left them; he was obviously terminated there, but they don't love.
No, they view it as they don't love O there,
but it's not. It's a little bit different now because he's kind of a defeated man in a sense. I mean, he's a rich one, but a guy that is on his way out. So,
but here we get into what is the mental state of LSU entering this game.
Well, that's a whole thing I talked about yesterday. I'm certain of this. This is I went over there. I had some conversations with multiple people throughout, like different levels of pay grades, departments. I talked to a bunch of people in there, and they're tied to the head coach. That once he leaves, it's like, okay, well, what's the deal? It's a somber deal, and I think that once they get out on the field in that environment, you can't help but get your juices going and want to go out there and win the game. I just think it's like during the week, and where's your focus and where's your energy level and who are you talking to? I mean, are you going home a little bit early and talking to your wife or husband and saying, hey, I'm kind of looking elsewhere. We may have to move here. I'm putting out some feelers. My agents talk to these people. It's where's your focus at this point? I don't know. It's something I can't know.
You're right, because the motivation to prove people wrong is strong, but is it as strong as the motivation if you feel like you are quite literally fighting for your job? Right? I'm not. No, I don't think it is, right? So look, yes, from a human element, and it's what we ignore far too often on this side of the equation, it sucks. You have a lot of new coaches that have gone all in and moved their families. They came to Baton Rouge with the expectation to be here for a long time. We talked about Jake Peetz a lot this summer. Somebody that's bounced around throughout his entire career. He has 6 kids. All of a sudden, like he was talking about this summer, I'm in Baton Rouge. I want to stay here, et cetera, et cetera. And now after 1 year, it looks like that is all up in the air. Brad Davis could be thrown in the same boat. Durante Jones could be thrown in the same boat. And so these are things that, from a human perspective, are it's easy to be empathetic with, right? It's easy to feel badly for them. But at the end of the day, they do still want to ultimately prove the people wrong that made these decisions, right? And they still want to win the game. And to me, Hunt, the other thing is, like, what about player motivation? Sure. And the players don't have the same human type of fears. They're not going to be forced to move, right? They will be here. Now, they'll have a new coach and everything else. But if you like this coach, which was something that was up in the air publicly, we weren't sure, right? Had Coach O and the staff really regained the trust of the players after last year and the social justice march and how they handled that, which admittedly it did not seem like they handled it well. And there was an idea there was irreparable damage done and nobody had, you just couldn't repair it. It is what it is. But when I see Andre Anthony tweeting a broken heart when the news announced Sunday, and then I see all of the players rallying around Coach Joe and the report that was put out there, in terms of like girls, kids at practice and everything, which is an extrapolated kernel of truth that ends up becoming a lie, right? Like, it's like, okay, maybe I believe that there is more support amongst the locker room for this current regime and for Coach O than we had believed just a week ago. And I think that a lot of times you talk about the interim bump, I think that it could potentially come into play this weekend.
We'll see. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here when I just kind of look at the objective facts and then understand how these transitions usually work. In terms of Jake Peetz and Durante Jones, they have taken a big step in their careers to become college football coordinators at the highest level. You've got 5 more games to prove that you are making strides and you are putting a quality product on the field so that you continue to have those steps move forward. In terms of Brad Davis, if this football team runs the ball well in the last month, all of a sudden you're going, that's coaching, because they couldn't do squat. Yeah. And it's the same guys out there, and he developed them. Then you look back at what Arkansas is doing running the football, and you go, okay, yeah, this guy's really got it. And if you're auditioning for an opportunity to stay here, they pay assistants pretty good here. It's home for him. So there's motivation for a lot of different people, a lot of different ways. It doesn't necessarily tie back into winning the SEC West.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that they tell you if you're like if you're trying to make it in the NFL, right? And you're playing in preseason games, you're not just trying to make that roster. What you're actually doing is putting your tape out there for all 32 NFL teams, right? It is a league-wide tryout. You're right. In the same way, if Jake Peetz and Durante Jones would get to continue in coordinator roles, well, they may not get another coordinator role immediately after this. Like, there are plenty of smaller schools that may be all too willing to give them that job because of what they've done or the improvement that they have shown this year. And then the opposite is true as well, like kind of lack thereof. And with Brad Davis, you do see some improvement coming out of the O-line. I mean, that's one of my biggest questions is which O-line are you going to see?
Yeah.
And it's weird because partially schemes help them out, certainly, but like last week, Ed Ingram just looked like a different player. He just looked like the Ed Ingram that we thought coming into the year. That was an NFL prospect and all these other things, like doing the fundamentals correct that he necessarily wasn't before. And so, yes, if the O-line can continue to show improvement, all of a sudden start becoming a very good running team, then Brad Davis turns to credit. And I would think that the next coach would have to give a very long and hard thought to the idea of whether or not Brad Davis would be retained on staff.
Let's take a time out. I want to touch. I spoke with Brad Davis for my assistant coach interview of the week. That'll be aired on the pregame show tomorrow. But I've taken some things from that. I want to chat with T-Bob about them. And then I've got one overriding thought about this LSU defense against the Ole Miss offense that I can't shake. That's next on Hunt and Abear, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile...
Join us for another Football Friday on Early Line as we give our final thoughts on Saints Seahawks and LSU Ole Miss. We also round out our weekend six-pack for Week 7 in the NFL and Week 8 in college football. Join us 2 to 3 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill on a Friday. Tomorrow, LSU Ole Miss 2:39 kickoff. We'll be on the air on the LSU Sports Radio Network at 12:30, and part of that pregame show is going to be my interview with Brad Davis. I sat down with him on Wednesday night, and T-Bob, you know this. The course of the conversation for the first 6 weeks of the season was they have no depth on the offensive front. None of the young guys are ready. It's a real big problem. They can't plug any of these guys in. They haven't been developed. Huge issue. And then all of a sudden, you come out and you see Dellinger play a little bit. Marlon Martinez gets out there. And I spoke with Brad Davis, and this is something you'll hear on the interview. He said, some of these guys, Dellinger is as tough as they come. I thought he played a great game. He said Marlon Martinez is going to start this week for Chase and Hines. Like, how does this change over a 5-day period where all of a sudden we said none of these guys are ready to play, and then all of a sudden, oh, look, this is a really promising young group of guys?
Well, I mean, okay, well, let's not run too far with it, right?
Exactly.
Because, like, I don't know that I think it's less about it being a very promising young group of guys and more about it being like, okay, like everything else in life, like, okay, that was better than my expectations, right? So, like, before you felt like you had no pieces for the future. And now when you look, you're like, okay, you know what, dude? Marlon Martinez played really solid at right guard. Okay, so let's check that box. That's a guy that we can carry forward into the future. Anthony Bradford.
He said Bradford's like special dude. That was the word he used.
And look, and coming out of spring, I felt very good about Bradford coming out of spring. Now, again, he seems to have had to kind of play his way into shape this fall. But he's a guard, and they're making him play left tackle, and maybe he could do that in college. Like, he could do that throughout college if he needed to. But he is playing a bit out of position, but he's playing really well. And I'm surprised because he is massive, he looks really good pulling. And it's one of the key reasons why these counter plays have been popping is because it's him and the guard leading the way. And so you're like, okay, Martinez played well at right guard. Anthony Bradford holding down at left tackle. Like, I mean, if you could play tackle, you could play guard, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's another solid. And then you got Garrett Dellinger coming in. He played a little jumbo tight end, and he looked good. And he's a guy who, as a true freshman, on a relative to his age standpoint, I really like during camp. And then so I guess the point is not to say that you feel great about the future, but it is, I think, objective fact to say that the future looks brighter than it did before. Like, you didn't know if you had any pieces, maybe one. Now I feel like, okay, those are three. And I still count Charles Turner as kind of a 0.5. He arguably should be challenging Liam Shanahan more, perhaps.
Yeah.
But then again, how much of the mental side is that versus the physical and whatnot, and mentally learning to make the calls on a level that Shanahan does is a very big barrier and can take like 2 to 3 years. So you're still going to have to do the transfer portal. You're still going to have to try to make up some things quickly, and you're still going to have to try to keep guys like Emory Jones and Will Campbell. But you have younger pieces now that you didn't know were there before.
Usually when we look at statistics for opposing teams, when an LSU team's coming up, I look at what the teams have done against them in terms of yardage and production. One of the stats that jumped off the page at me, Bama ran it 50 times on Ole Miss. Arkansas ran it 58 times on Ole Miss in a shootout. Tennessee ran it 50 times against Ole Miss, and they were losing. Like, people just look at this and go, not that they didn't have success passing, because I got those numbers too, and they all threw it pretty good too. But everybody's just looking at this going, we got to hand it off. Again, 7 days ago, I would have said, well, that ain't going to happen. But now it's kind of, you're looking at it going, well, they got to start there.
I mean, that's one of the wildest parts, right? Is like, and to me, honestly, Hunt, that's why, okay, so I've been trying to answer this week, okay, why does Vegas think Tennessee Ole Miss is a pick'em and LSU Ole Miss opens at 10? And whatever, if you want to factor in the home field advantages, then it shrinks down to a touchdown. Like, whatever, I don't care about that. But what I'm saying is, why is there a disparity there? And the answer that I keep coming back to is that Ole Miss has clear strengths and weaknesses, but they are consistent strengths and weaknesses. LSU, like, what the hell are you going to get week to week? You just have no idea.
There's teams in the league. Like, I know what I'm getting every week out of Georgia. I know what I'm getting every week out of Kentucky. I know what I'm getting out of Ole Miss. Then there are some teams I'm looking at. I don't know what Florida's giving me. I don't know what LSU's giving me. A&M, I've completely given up. It's just that some teams are consistent in what they do every week. Some teams are just a total crapshoot. LSU, very much in the latter.
Bro, how do you go from being ranked like 125th in rushing to all of a sudden Tyrion Davis-Price breaks Herschel Walker's record? Like a Herschel Walker. Tyrion Davis-Price in the same week and breaks a Herschel Walker and a Leonard Fournette record on a team that at multiple games this season has had negative yards before contact for entire games, right? So for that reason, if I'm like gun to my head just trying to look at this game and pick a winner or whatever, yeah, I get it, okay? I see that. I see why Ole Miss is a favorite. Like, that's how I think I explained that 10-point disparity. That's how I think that Ole Miss probably wins. But when LSU does get it right, I think they're right there with Ole Miss, if not arguably higher. I mean, we don't need to go higher. I think it's more of a Tennessee type of pick'em situation if LSU comes with their mind right and brings that running game to bear. And all of a sudden, you enter this just upside down situation where, despite the fact that LSU's been horrible at running the ball all year, if I'm Ole Miss and I'm game planning for LSU, I am planning to stop the run.
Yeah, don't you think
I'm planning to stop counter?
Don't you think Max slept a little better this week, knowing that he didn't have to show up? I mean, he knows they probably need to score 50, but the fact of the matter is that he doesn't have to do everything potentially, which
Absolutely,
he's had to do all year.
Absolutely. It goes back to what Brandon Staley talked about for the Chargers when he talks about the value of running the ball. And he's like, first and foremost, just gives the quarterback a break. And then he goes on to talk about like the physical element of football and enforces the defense to deal with that. And I agree with all that. But like to highlight just Max had the weight of the world on his shoulders for weeks this year. I mean, this season. It's just been...
KJ Jefferson against this team was 25 out of 35 for 326 and 3 touchdowns. So, that tells you, I mean, Bama, Bryce Young, 21 out of 27, big numbers there. 241 yards, 2 scores.
And they're a worse rush defense than they are a pass defense.
They're brutal. They're just terrible.
And I know that LSU's offense has been inconsistent. That is for sure. But, I mean, look, if you could run it like that on Kentucky, if you could run it like that on Florida, you should be able to run it like that on Ole Miss.
And the issue is not whether or not they're going to get yards. LSU's going to get a ton of yards. The issue is whether or not they can get touchdowns. And there are 2 stats in this game where one of the teams is first in the country. LSU is first in the country in red zone scoring. They score 100% of the time. Now, they kicked too many field goals, specifically against Auburn when they settled way too early for field goals inside the 10. They scored every time. You got to go score touchdowns when you get down in the red zone. Ole Miss is first in going for it on amount of times they go for it on 4th down. They go for it 3.5 times a game on 4th down.
Damn. So, I mean, they're going to be hitting the gas pedal, man. And if you're talking about ways to maybe stop Ole Miss, they don't turn it over in a traditional way, right? Corral doesn't throw picks anymore. But if you think about how do we create turnovers, winning those 4th down battles would be key to that. And look, honestly, LSU, if you want 2 areas defensively where they have to be better, if they're trying to mitigate the Ole Miss onslaught, although they've been a mixed bag defensively, LSU has this year, and they've done a lot of good things in the middle, but in the critical situations, they ultimately do leave a lot to be desired, right? They give a 45% conversion rate on 3rd down. I think their touchdown rate in the SEC is like in the red zone. I mean, it's second. No, it's dead last. It's like 82% of the time if you reach the red zone, you score a touchdown. If we're thinking about things that Durante Jones needs to improve on, while I do love the overall communication and just the chemistry of the defense as compared to last year, you must get better on 3rd down and in the red zone, especially in a game like this where you're not going to stop Ole Miss. So it becomes much more of a bend but don't break affair, right? And win some of those 3rd battles, force them to 4th down, and then see if you can't get it lucky a couple times and you get them off the field, and then you can take advantage of the opportunity the same way you did last week against Florida. That was the greatest things about the Florida game is that when you got turnovers, unlike Auburn, you didn't settle for field goals. The offense, even when it wasn't hitting, found a way to make the turnovers into touchdowns.
I teased that one overriding thought, and then I didn't get to it, but I promise I will right after this on Hunt Hill.
Holding down down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rufino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for a Football Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Riot Radio Hours return. Phil Steele's picking the biggest games in college football. Join us 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So this is this thought I keep having when I think about this game tomorrow. I think about an LSU defense.
Yep.
And this is a fact that I've used. What are the highest paid defensive players in the NFL?
What are they like
on
position wise?
defense, on
Position wise,
defense,
I would say pass rushers and cornerbacks.
Okay, all of ours are out. Two ends are out.
Yes.
2 corners are out.
Yes.
It's a depleted defense in every way.
It's
It is a first-year defensive coordinator going against the Heisman frontrunner and Lane Kiffin. That is a hard thing for me to swallow going into the game.
This is also explaining the 10-point spread question that I've been trying to answer all week. That's very fair. It's really obvious, and I hadn't considered it.
Now, I did watch Neil McCready has his high school coach from Mississippi come on Thursday nights, and he breaks down tape and talks about matchups and whatnot. And he claimed that Ole Miss's offensive injury report is worse than LSU's defensive. Now, I don't think he knows because his only thing was, I know Stingley's out, and he still had Andre Anthony on there as like a sack guy, so he doesn't know. The point being, they're really hurt on offense, and I listened to Neil and Chase. They had a discussion on their podcast on Wednesday and said, I don't know if because Lane doesn't tell him anything on offense, but he's like, if this guy's out, and I don't know any of these guys, but they started going, who's next up? And they were like, I think it's like Mitchell. I'm making up names, but they were like trying to determine who could possibly play on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And then they were digging up how many snaps they had played on Pro Football Focus. One of the guys had played 5 snaps this year. I mean, the offensive line for them is hurting.
That's good to know. I actually I was not aware of that. But again, it does sound like overall, potentially that's a bit of a wash. Just when you look at, it's the same reason why last week when people were like, oh, why is the LSU defense we're going to stop anybody in the second half? Of course you can't stop anybody. You shouldn't be able to. You're down all your best players. You're literally in a sport where you have 11 starters on the side of the ball. You're down, 6? You're down over 50%. So, if there's struggles, and combined with the first-year coordinator, everything Hunt just talked about, these struggles are kind of easily explainable.
Mullen was in his bag in the second half.
Oh,
I mean, the little Richardson, fake this way, fake toss, step back. There's a guy running down the seam, just dumps it. I mean,
I think it was Mike.
Some of those play calls were just sick.
Mike Golick Jr. tweeted something like, man, I'd be pretty salty if I was Emory Jones and all of a sudden Mullen starts calling these galaxy brain plays for Anthony Richardson. You're right. Like at a certain point in the game, Mullen was like, okay, I got to fall back into just my incredible, weird, quirky, but very effective play design. And it worked. Unfortunately, the defense couldn't stop anybody. And so I guess that's what you're hoping for this week, right? Because you're probably not going to be able to stop Lane Kiffin's incredibly weird and quirky and effective play design and Matt Corral and everything that he brings to bear and the 3-headed monster running back that is healthy. You're not going to be able to stop him consistently. And so the LSU offense keeping pace is the same way it was not expected against Florida. They're going to have to do so again this week. No rest for the weary. 2 weeks in a row.
Kiffin creates, and the problem is that I saw too much of this in the second half against Florida. And I don't know anything about X's and O's. I'm very candid about that. That's not something I can speak to very well. But so often, Corral takes a snap, does a little read option, comes up, and there is either a tight end or an H-back or a wide receiver running down the seam, and there's no one there. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how he does it so much, but I did see it when Florida had it going last week. So maybe one thing I could say is that maybe LSU's identified and they're figuring it out, or one is it's just going to be open.
Well, and if we're looking for similarities, I think it would be because both Ole Miss and Florida are essentially run-based offenses, right?
Yes,
and run-based offenses that start with the quarterback. Emory Jones, the leading rusher for Florida. Who's the leading rusher for Ole Miss?
Corral.
It's Matt Corral, right? So, in the same way, look, when you add a quarterback to the rushing attack, you gain a man. You literally gain a man advantage because in traditional play development over, X amount of years playing football, the quarterback's a wasted guy in the blocking scheme. He is just handing it off, pumping, whatever. He's just chilling essentially, though, after he hands it off. So you literally gain a man advantage when you have a running back that can run the ball, or quarterback, excuse me. And then in today's kind of conceptuals, ideas where the RPOs have developed, and in college where offensive linemen can go, they got a little bit of leeway where they can go pretty far downfield and you can still throw the ball. Yeah, it does. You can put the defense in incredibly tough situations about what do we prioritize. And so that's how you have those guys running wide open. And what's crazy is that although Ole Miss leads the SEC in plays of 10 yards or more, they've only played 6 games. It's not a per-game average. In just volume of 10-yard plays more, they lead the SEC despite playing one less game than almost everybody else. They do it with a lot of short work. Jacob was looking this up today, but I think on Pro Football Focus, the two routes that they take advantage of the most and run the most are slants and hitches. So that tells me that they're getting a lot of work done on the ground, running the ball, and then obviously they're building a lot of quick RPO, quick hitting stuff off of that ability to run. And it's a bit of damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Like, there's no easy answer to that defensively.
And they run more plays than most, so obviously this is skewed a little bit, but it's still telling. Ole Miss runs the ball 49 times a game. That's 5th in the country. Only 4 teams run the ball more times in a game than Ole Miss. So you think about this high-flying offense, Corral winning the Heisman, scoring 50 points. They're running the football, and LSU's defensive front is playing okay. They got beat a lot last week just by the air. I mean, the big touchdown over McLaughlin's head, throwing the ball down the seam. I mean, Florida kind of had it all working in the second half, and they really didn't have a ton working in the first half. Without the Hail Mary, they got, 6 points?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it was mostly in the second half, but it's they're going to run the football. We'll see if LSU can man up.
It's weird. It's weird to know what to make of LSU's defense as a whole, and I think it kind of applies to the front.
42 points back-to-back weeks makes me sad.
Exactly, right? Exactly. But, within that, Cardell Flott has played really well.
They made some plays on the ball. That play Flott makes a tip to Bassett was unbelievable. McLaughlin breaking on the ball was great. They've made some plays.
And it's like seeing Damone Clark come up with a pick. What a nice culmination for him as he just continues to do better and better this year. But Neil Farrell is literally one of the highest graded defensive linemen in the country. And he was excellent again last week. He graded out at a 90.
Clark may make 20 tackles on Saturday.
So it's a situation where I've referred to the Florida and Ole Miss offenses the last couple of weeks as maybe the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. LSU's defense is having a weird opposite situation where the sum of its parts don't feel as good as you think it would be, right? Because you have guys like Farrell and Damone Clark and Cardell Flott that are really showing out. But for whatever reason, it's not translating to the defensive dominance that you would hope for. And to me, partially, again, I think that's some situational football, letting drives extend by not being successful on third down. Certainly the red zone issues are problems. I wonder how they're going to rush Matt Corral this week. And this is why the defensive front gets complicated, because last week a lot of people, why aren't we getting more pressure? Why aren't we winning these one-on-one battles? Well, it was a conservative rush by design, right? They did not want to allow run lanes for Richardson and Jones, and so you do a little more head up, kind of bull rushing, a little more read and react type of stuff. And I guess that's what you have to try to do with this LSU defense this year. You're not going to shut people down, you're not going to be dominant. So in the same way that you did last week, can you do enough? And so maybe that means a conservative pass rush approach where you're just trying to maintain lanes and you're not going to really sack them that much. And granted, they're going to hit you for some plays, but maybe you can force them into enough third down or fourth down situations. Maybe, and this is where it gets a bit sketchy because Ole Miss has not turned the ball over this year, obviously like Kentucky and Florida have, but can you make them trip up a couple times? We talk about Ole Miss not winning since 2015 and how that kind of makes me a bit worried because they're due. Okay, well, Matt Corral's only throwing one pick. He's due for a couple more. Let's hope that math plays out there as well.
This happens all the time. You script out a show and you've got your notes and your preparation, and during the course of a discussion, you start to think about something and you realize, that's something we need to talk about. I got to look a couple things up in the break, but there's something I want to get to. We were going to talk NFL in this next segment. We're bumping that to hour number 2. I got something I need to look up. There's a discussion that needs to be had. That'll close out hour number 1 next on Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 360.
It's week 8 in the prep football season, and we get you started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview. Catholic High and Sandoval kick off at 7, immediately followed by a full 2 hours of the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, CST, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, this is rather eye-catching, and it just came to me as we were talking. On the LSU defense, in the first half against UCLA, they gave up 14 points. They shut them out in the first quarter. UCLA finished with 38. They scored 24 points in the second half. Kentucky had 14 points in the first half. They finished with 42 points in the game. We know what happened last week in the second half where LSU really held them to 6 before the Hail Mary, and then Florida just went up and down the field, scored 3 straight touchdowns in the second half. Yeah. Auburn, you're up 13-0. You come out, you're playing well, and then all of a sudden, and again, that wasn't exactly scheme. Bo Nix kind of run around like a crazy person and make some plays, but LSU's defense is coming out of the gate pretty well, and in the second half, they are getting blitzkrieged. They're giving up 20 points. Now, this is including like McNeese and some others, but they're giving up 9 points per game in the first half and 20 points per game in the second half. That's double.
Okay, so that's not good,
No,
obviously.
it's not.
Okay, so my immediate reaction is that seems to make sense from a first-time play caller standpoint. And I would even extend this conversation to the offense. though the last two games have kind of muddied it a bit because they did not start well against Kentucky. Right. And obviously they finished very strong. And they actually didn't start well last week, and they finished very strong. So offensively, maybe it changed a bit. But up until that point, you'd had a similar thing where, think about every game. I mean, the LSU offense came out and almost scored the first drive every game. Like you had these very solid starts these games. And so I guess my initial reaction when I hear these numbers are, it makes sense when you're thinking about a first-time play caller, because both of these guys, Durante Jones and Jake Peets, are very experienced in the game of football. They know football inside out, right? They'll forget more football than I'll ever know. And so they can watch film, and they can identify weaknesses, and they can create an opening salvo that handles whatever the other team wants to do well. Maybe what it says is that in their still green experience in terms of being an in-game play caller, that they are struggling to deal with the counters that are being thrown their way, right? They are struggling to adjust to the adjustment. So I that is concerning. That is maybe part of the reason how I would explain it. Now, also context matters, and in some of these games, you've had situations where you didn't get very good complimentary football, and so eventually one side of the ball tires out, right? Like the Auburn one is absolutely that, where if the offense had given you anything in that fourth quarter, you win that game. The defense gets a little bit of a rest, and I don't think Bo Nix does what he does, but it just became this kind of snowball rolling downhill where you couldn't stop, where all of a sudden, the defense is starting to get gashed. They're getting more and more tired. The offense can't stay on the field, so the defense isn't getting time to rest. And you saw what happened. But, that's not good. That's concerning. That's concerning. But you know what? If the offense can change stripes like they did last game, then maybe the defense can as well.
This is one of my things. You've talked to me on the air long enough where I try to stay speaking about things that I can speak about intelligently and feel like I have I'm not telling you I'm right all the time, but I have a reasonable expectation that I can keep up. X's and O's is not one of them. One of the things that drives me insane is when fans call in or text into my show or talk to me after the game or whatever, or say, they don't make any adjustments. And I'm going, what do you think they did at halftime? Like, get in there and do some stretches, eat a hot dog? Like, they're trying. They might have just got their butts kicked. But that's what you'll hear from a fan who looks at these stats and goes, well, they're getting killed in the second half. Or a Florida fan last week that's saying they keep running this counter and they run it right down our throats. They're not making any adjustments. Well, I'm sure they're trying. I'm sure they're not saying, just don't cover that guy. They're trying to make an adjustment. You don't know. You're not in there.
There is an element of, and I think this has actually gained a bit of juice recently. I'm not sure why. I just feel like I've gotten it through internet osmosis, but there is also maybe a bit of overrating of halftime adjustments and halftime speeches and what they mean, because they're very rarely wholesale changes, right?
You've got a plan for the game. You've got a playbook, and this is what we got.
There are tweaks. They're like, oh, you know what? We thought we were going to get him here, and here's how they're reacting to it, which is not what we were expecting. So your responsibility will change a little bit, right? So, yes, halftime adjustments maybe are a bit overdone. I guess to me, like if we just look at the Florida game defensively, it just looked like they weren't ready for Dan Mullen's bag, which of course it's almost a weird thing where like
that play right there that's Ole Miss all day. We're watching the SEC rewind in Florida and LSU, and they just got a guy running down the seam. There's nobody there. And
it was because of the excellent little pitch design and LSU trying to respect the run, right? And so again, that is the other thing that Ole Miss does in the same way. I don't know that Florida did this much as Ole Miss does, but it is a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Like, where do you commit your resources to, right? If you have finite resources, it's like war game theory. Where do you commit your resource to? Is it stopping Matt Corral on the ground? Is it stopping the running backs on the ground? Is it stopping Matt Corral from being able to throw the ball? For what it's worth for me, it's a run-first offense. See Matt Corral as the leading rusher. I would actually commit to stopping that. But unfortunately, that may lead to that, right? Like that may lead to what Anthony Richardson just did right there, where because he's commanding all of this focus, he's a wide open tight end of the team. But again, LSU is not in a we're such a good defense, we're going to hold you to 18-point situation. Right. This is especially with all the starters out, this is a let's mitigate the damage standpoint. And so we are truly in a is it Sophie's choice where it's like there's no good choices? This is a lesser of two evils situation. And so I would actually say focus on stopping Corral, disciplined rush lanes, maybe a spy. I'm not 100% there. And then kind of you're going to have to take those other punches when they throw them, and hopefully on the whole, you win enough of those battles.
The good news here, no Laquan Treadwell, no DK Metcalf.
I would be stressed
no AJ
if Treadwell
Brown, no Elijah Moore. Their weapons on the outside are very, very average. I mean, as I've heard multiple Ole Miss people on this station and on podcast say Corral is dragging this crew with him. I mean, these running backs are fine. They're running for 5 yards a carry. They're nice players. Jerry Neely is a left fielder on Bianca's baseball teams out there and running the football a little bit. This is Corral and company, and he's making it work because he's that good and his play caller is that good. LSU will have their hands full with that crew at 2:30 on Saturday. We're going to come back. A lot more LSU and Ole Miss to talk about at the end of the show. When we come back, we'll talk a little NFL. Just tell you, this slate stinks. We'll get to that as we kick off hour number 2 coming up next on a Football Friday. That is T-Bob Hebert. I am Hunt Palmer. Come on back with us for hour number 2. We're getting close to the weekend, counting down the end of your workday. 1 hour left on Hunt and Hill.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Ruffino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at patientplusuc.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Hand Injury Lawyers. This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
1 hour in the books, 1 hour to go here on Hunt and Hill. T-Bob Hebert in for Jeremy,
my
who's
shoes are
down. Not great. Jeremy down on birthday vacation, sipping margaritas. Not in the chat today. He was in the chat yesterday.
What is Hilly doing today, do you think?
He said he was going to be drinking a lot of margaritas, hanging out.
Where's he at, though?
He's in Mexico.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's not very nice, but I am very important in the YouTube chat. He just says Hunt sucks. That's not nice.
Well,
it's Friday.
It depends on what, right?
Well,
because when I eat lollipops, I suck. And when my wife hates me, actually, because I deep throat those things, dude. I mean, I will. She says that I have the most aggressive lollipop and or fudgesicle eating technique of anybody she's ever met. My argument is that I'm trying to enjoy it, okay? I'm not just trying to chomp it off with my teeth and then just chew on it. No, I want to lick it. I want to split it. I want to let it rest in my mouth a little bit. I want to enjoy the process, make it last a little bit, right?
A lot of drops that are possible there, and just leave that to the audio guys. So we'll move on to some football. T-Bob, the slate stinks on Saturday and Sunday this week. It's bad.
It's not great. And it's funny because a lot of times when you say this, you'll have the well actually guy who'll be like, well, actually, a lot of times on these Saturdays is when some of the craziest things happen. And like, sure, there's going to be a couple upsets. And it's a bit weird where like Otter told us this morning, which I didn't realize. There's 3 unranked teams favored over ranked teams.
Yeah.
Which like, that's odd.
That's because we rank teams that should not be ranked.
Well, but you also rank them off a resume, though, right?
Well, is it UTSA or UTEP that's ranked? One of them is.
UTSA is.
Okay, they're not one of the top 25 teams. I've watched them play 0 snaps. I'm 100% certain. 100%.
I'm a fan of ranking team based off resume. And if they got to, whatever.
Bring UTSA into Tiger Stadium and see what happens.
No, exactly.
So why do we rank them? So everybody can feel good?
Yeah, but that's also, I don't know if I want college football to become, because then you're having to get into a realm that already in the playoff era can become upsetting sometimes. Like, I don't want to go to pure opinion, right? Where it's like, okay, like, yes, UTSA is not as good as LSU, but they're undefeated, but screw them, they're not as good. 3-3 LSU should be ranked ahead of him.
Yes,
like,
that's how I would approach it.
Yes, I agree that like LSU would beat UTSA, right? But I'm okay with rewarding everyone kind of relative to their competition scale, because it's not like they're going to get in the playoff or anything. So whatever. The point being, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a couple crazy games this weekend. There's going to be a couple upsets, but we have had banger weekends so many times this year. And just objectively, quite frankly, yes, this is not a horribly exciting weekend of football.
So this is generally the segment we do to end hour 1 on Friday, but we were rolling an LSU Ole Miss, so we kind of kicked it down a notch. This is a game that I play with Jeremy where I divide the NFL slate on Sunday only, into tiers. Tier 4 is absolutely unwatchable. Tier 1 is we have to see this football game. It is damning what I've got on this list today. I have got 0 games in Tier 1.
Yeah.
Not a single one that makes me go, I have to watch that.
So to that point, and Emil Naroud said this in the chat, game days at UCLA, Oregon. Well, when's the last time that game day has been at an unranked actually, I guess, is Oregon still ranked?
I don't know. Probably. Yeah, they're definitely ranked. They've only lost 1 game.
Okay, let me check the top 25. But either way, when's the last time that like UCLA is not relevant at all to the national picture?
This is one of those weekends where they usually go to North Dakota State or
like an Army Navy, like anything like that, right? Like this is UCLA Oregon is not even a classic rivalry in and of itself. This is just 2 conference foes going toe to toe, and probably the West Coast
Bowl.
Yeah, like the West Coast media thing, a little bit of Chip Kelly in there, a little bit of an empty slate. I mean, LSU Ole Miss is a 2:30 CBS game, right? I mean, like, and I love it because I want to hear,
the music.
and I want to hear Gary D. I like Gary Danielson.
Well, look, I think Gary does a fine job. He mispronounces names, but everyone that thinks he hates LSU, that's a little bit much.
He had mispronounced names, but I mean, if I was in that job.
He went M-singer for like 4 years. That's a tough scene.
Well, sometimes it's hard to break one of those things when you just start saying something wrong and you just can't get out of there.
You know what's happened to me? This is bad. It's really bad. Whenever I get into NIL, name, image, likeness talk, I have like on 6 or 7 occasions said national letter of intent.
Yeah, NLI.
That's
it's because it's in your head because of NLI. Yeah,
with all the new national letter of intent, that's not right at all. That's not even close.
Well, it's just a slip. I mean, I get it, but it's probably because we've had like NLI has been a known saying, and now you have NIL. What are you supposed to do, dude?
All right, let's talk about the NFL games on Sunday before we get to the SEC slate in the next segment. This is Tier 4. This is just absolute crap football that I will not be watching any snaps of. Falcons at the Dolphins. Matt Ryan's actually playing a little bit better, and Tua's back, but it's still bad football.
Yeah, the Dolphins, the Dolphins feel horrible. Like every Dolphins game that I've watched any part of when it showed up on Red Zone, I've been like, ugh, this is unenjoyable. Like last week in the London game, which was great to have on while you're having coffee and going through your Sunday morning routines. It was really bad. It was really bad. And unfortunately for Dolphins fans, Tua feels really bad. And it's hard. You get so few opportunities to get that franchise quarterback with a top 5 pick. And when you miss, it's just a brutal feeling that can set you back years.
Yep, for sure. It's not good. Staying in Tier 4, Panthers at the Giants. I mean, it's just not good. Giants are 1-5, and the one wins in the Dome.
Well, and then like the Panthers have fallen off as well.
3-3.
God, that is so true. How are the Saints not 4-1? You know what? Hey, Saints fans, but you cannot. Don't drive yourself crazy with that because given the context of everything,
Packers a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So like you stole one against the Packers. Yeah. Okay, you get one stolen back. All is even on the ledger sheet. You're still 3-2. That's big time.
You know what's not great? When you get into an auction draft in fantasy and the first person nominated is McCaffrey and you just determine you're going to go all the way up and get him like I did, and then he just doesn't play.
No, dude. The and I hate fantasy, but I've been doing better when we started doing auction drafts. Let everybody else spend their money. And you just
I tried that last year. I came up with like no starting running back.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Then you just try to get like a bunch of mid-level guys.
I went and got Christian McCaffrey and Zeke Elliott. And I'm not very good. All right, moving on. Lions at the Rams. The Lions are abysmal. The Rams are very good. That's going to be a blowout.
The only
16.
I was going to say the only hope here is for some sort of any given Sunday like NFL because honestly, that is the thing about the NFL compared to the college slate is that at least like a lot of these games will likely end close, but that.
You think Lions-Rams sounds bad? How does Texans at the Cardinals sound?
Now that sounds like hot garbage. Like
17.5 is the line in the NFL.
For whatever reason, at least Dan Campbell feels like there's a little juice in Detroit because he cares. Like who the hell cares about what's going on in Houston right now?
Yeah. Nobody. They're all watching the Astros.
Davis Mills went in my high school though. Shout out, dog. Holding down in the NFL.
So let's go up to Tier 3, see if we can do a little bit better than that garbage in Tier 4. These are a little bit better. Washington football team at the Packers. Okay. The problem is that the football team defense stinks.
Yeah. They're not as good as we thought we were going to be.
They're good against the run, but the team's throwed around, and I'm told the Packers quarterback is decent.
I think
they've won 5 straight by like 1 million after they left the Saints. That win looks so much better even now than it did at the time.
Chase Young, just 1 sack on the season thus far, I believe.
They got 4 first-round picks up on the front.
Man, maybe you shouldn't invest so heavily in Alabama and Ohio State guys.
Exactly
I don't know.
Right.
That's just me. Jonathan Allen says, what are they doing?
Tier 3, at once upon a time it would have been nice. It's not now. Jets at Pats.
Ooh,
Jets stink.
I think credit to them for getting that game in Tier 3.
Yeah,
because that feels like a Tier 4 game to me. I guess just the interest of Zach Wilson still being a top 3 pick and Bill Belichick.
2 quarterbacks in a division, and the spread's not huge. I mean, it's a touchdown, but it has a chance to be competitive.
That is fair, and 2 first-round quarterbacks bumps that up to Tier 3 because at least they have like some like, oh, we're actually looking into the future of what this game could be.
Eagles at the Raiders. The Raiders looked like a really fun team, and now things are not looking great over there.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Carr was an MVP guy, also on my fantasy team. He has been benched for Jalen Hurts, who he'll be playing against this week.
I think there's a scenario here with the Raiders where they do a Chuck Pagano to Bruce Arians thing, right? Chuck Pagano with those Andrew Luck Indianapolis Colts teams. It's a pretty good team. Pagano gets cancer. He has to leave. Bruce Arians takes over. Look at how that vaulted. I mean, that literally vaulted Bruce Arians to his career that he's had since. He's now a Super Bowl champion winning head coach. Bisaccio, people love him. People love him. We're going to figure out this. Well, we won't figure out this week. We'll figure out over time whether or not that week, last week, was that the classic interim bump, or is it a situation where, no, the Raiders are good and Bisaccio is well-liked enough and can actually be a good NFL head coach? Like, we're going to figure out how much John Gruden was actually doing for that Raiders team.
What do you think the Bears' record is through 6 games?
I'm going to say 3-3.
They are 3-3.
Yeah,
and you would have never thought that.
They're better than they should be because in classic Bears fashion, they have a completely anemic, horrible offense, but they're actually pretty good everywhere else.
So I follow a lot of Bears fans on Twitter because of
Cubs. Yeah.
Think about this. They have had 30 years of first-ballot Hall of Fame quarterback on their most hated team, and they have not had a functional QB ever.
You're right. They had to roll Favre into Rodgers.
Just immediately. And they're stuck in Grossman land. Then you've got...
He went to a Super Bowl. Rex Grossman went to a Super Bowl with the Chicago Bears. That's how good the organization is everywhere else except for at quarterback. Also, is Ryan Pace still their personnel guy?
He is. They won't... I listen to a lot of this, more than I should. The McCaskey family, which is a descendant of the house...
Why do they like him so much?
They own the team. They don't know anything about football. They're stuck with Pace. They've stuck with Nagy. Everybody in Chicago thinks they're horrendous. They want him to sell the team because they won't get functional humans into the football department.
Well, the other thing is, like, Ryan Pace had a good reputation in New Orleans until he didn't, but he kind of got out at the right time because, like, it ends up a lot of Ryan Pace's final moves in New Orleans are some of the moves that set New Orleans back so hard during the 7 and 9 years. And then he trades up for troops. For Trubisky, who actually, you know what? I don't know. Looks pretty good in Buffalo. He doesn't have to play. He doesn't play. He doesn't play. He looks really good in the preseason. I don't know. I went on a weird Trubisky hole this summer where I was advocating for him to be the Saints quarterback.
They're so miserable up there. But they're at the Bucs, and we assume the Bucs will roll there. That's a 12-point line. So many double-digit lines in the NFL this week.
Which is wild. I mean, that speaks to the slate because you never see that.
Colts are at the Niners.
That's a good game. That's a good game. That's a good game. I would bump that up to tier 2. From tier 3.
It's a 2-3 team against a 2-4 team.
But look at the Colts schedule. Colts schedule's been horrifying early on. And
Niners are trying to get their feet on the ground on quarterback. They don't know what they're doing.
The Niners are disappointment. That is fair. The Niners are disappointment. The Niners were like...
They're in the wrong division is the problem.
Well, that is also true. The NFC West is full of killers. But like the Niners last year, we all gave them a pass because they got injured to all hell. Like I thought they would be one of the premier NFC teams this year.
They are not.
But okay, but why that game maybe deserves to be tier 2 is because those are two teams that you think, okay, from a talent standpoint, they are playoff caliber. But like this is one of those type of games where like one of them is gonna essentially sink to the after the
Colts
this will kill somebody's chance. Yes, this will kill somebody's chances of making the playoffs.
All right, let's go to tier 2. There is nothing in tier 1, which has never happened in the 6 weeks I've been doing this. Tier 2, there are a couple. Chiefs at the Titans.
Browns Broncos. That was tier 1 last night.
Right? Well, yeah, but no Baker. Well, that would have been tier 1 anyway. The
No
Broncos
Baker,
are a
no
paper tiger.
Chubb, no anybody.
No, Chiefs are at the Titans. That's good football.
That's good football.
The Titans are coming off a really nice win.
What is the Titans' record this year?
The Titans this year are...
They've been impossible to figure out, I feel like, from
Titans
afar.
are 4-2. The Chiefs are 3-3.
I know the Chiefs have been very surprisingly bad. So you're not giving Chiefs Titans tier 1?
It's a 3-3 versus a 4-2. I mean, I think it's going to be a
But are the
competitive
Chiefs
football
really
team.
a 3-3?
Yes, they're 3-3 because their defense doesn't stop anyone.
I did see the other day, I don't know if this got better on Sunday, but going into Sunday, they were literally the worst per play defense in history. But who currently holds the record? The Steve Spagnuolo Saints. So you had Spags again turning in the worst defense in NFL history.
Listen to the Chiefs giving up points-wise. They give up 29 to the Browns, 36 to the Ravens, 30 to the Chargers, 30 to the Eagles, 38 to the Bills, and then 13 against the football team last week.
It's not great.
Heineke.
You can't give up 38 to the football team. That's the huge red flag there. Even though they ended up coming back and beat him. Okay, what other tier 2 matchups we got?
Bengals at the Ravens.
Love that. AFC
What do you think
North.
what do you make of the Bengals? My Bengals. This is a Bengals show. We have a Bengal. I'm a Bengal. Yeah. We're big Bengals guys.
You have quite the choosy sentiment for tier 1 if Ravens Bengals ain't making it in there, bro. Yeah. AFC North battle, Lamar Jackson and company kicking ass. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Because we got the 4-2 Bengals. What is Baltimore 5-1?
5-1.
5-1? And it's looking like this could potentially be a division battle. Shout out Ben Mintz, one of the picks he gave in the D-Gym Dome this morning. He just put 10-1 odds on the Bengals to win the AFC North, which granted, probably won't happen. Yeah. But in terms of value
tweaks
play.
An ankle.
Yes.
Starts hobbling around back there.
In terms of value play, I don't hate
good.
it. No,
the Browns are falling apart.
Browns are just injured all hell.
We've got a Thursday segment we do where we discuss how many teams left that can realistically win the Super Bowl, and your goal is to get your list as small as possible. I'm down to 8, and the Browns got pulled this week.
Yeah, Browns can't be on the list. Yeah. But look, I love Joe Burrow.
But we screwed up because we started. You had to start and throw some out before they played a game, and neither one of us had the Cowboys on there, so we got a bit of a Cowboys problem.
Let's let the natural way of things take their course. I think the Cowboys will play themselves out of that situation, or at least I hope so, right? Yeah. Look, I love the Bengals. Obviously, who hasn't been like a little baby bird seeing their mom for the first time? Who hasn't been imprinted by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? Like, of course I love them. Of course, I love the fact that all Bengals fans recognize how lucky and happy they should be to draft Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell.
So that was stupid. Very stupid.
I mean, even Jamar Chase with the pancake block just to reinforce it last week on the touchdown, dude. No, so I love the Bengals. I would love, and I will be actively cheering for them to beat the Ravens.
I certainly will too. Noon game. That's your Sunday slate. We'll come back, talk the Saturday slate. SEC games coming at you on Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Coming up on Mondays, Off the Bench. We'll recap the football weekend that was. Go to hell, Ole Miss. And we'll look forward to a little Monday night football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU and Ole Miss, the 2:30 kickoff. CBS, credit to them, 2 weeks out, saw this as the 2:30 game after LSU had gotten embarrassed by Kentucky and decided to take it instead of Alabama-Tennessee, which is probably the right move because there's a little more intrigue. But that's a 7.5, 8-point number depending on where you're shopping.
Yeah.
That is significantly less than every other game in the SEC this week. It is a brutal SEC slate.
Hey, that's why you get the 2:30 slot, I guess. It is. What do you make of the movement on the line? Starting at 10.5 to now 7.5. Makes me a little nervous because I feel like it's a lot of just public money being like, oh, LSU's getting 10, let's roll.
The public's not very smart. I have no idea. It's just I feel comfortable that this game's going to be a shootout. I think LSU's going to score, and I know Ole Miss is going to score. But I can see it. I can see a way where Ole Miss gets away from us in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, a shootout does not sound great for LSU. Like in terms of just like how our offense has performed versus LSU. I just dropped an R. I'm getting into more and more fan mode the closer that we get to this game. I'm losing any sort of objective analysis.
Arkansas is stepping out. They've kind of come back down to earth, obviously, the last 3 weeks with some tough losses. 4-3 now. They get an Arkansas Pine Bluff team that's horrendous. What are your thoughts on War Memorial Stadium, by the way? You played there a number of times.
Is that the
Little Rock?
So this is not the Fayetteville because I never
This
exactly.
is in Little Rock. It's terrible.
I have no thoughts.
It was
right. I
awful.
mean, like I don't know. It wasn't a great environment.
A lot of their money's in Little Rock. They got to throw those guys a bone, go down there and play. They're playing Pine Bluff. It's a 51-point line.
Like I'm sure the Fayetteville Stadium's actually really nice.
It is very nice.
Yeah, Little Rock was not very nice.
It's very nice. It's cold when we go up there. It was very nice. And Jarvis made a sick one-handed catch. It was only one time I went up there, but he made some catch over his head.
Yeah, I think it was in the penthouse watching that game. But that's a story
that's
for
a different
day.
story. Mississippi State is playing Vanderbilt. That is a 20.5-point number in Nashville, Tennessee.
Which, do you ever trust a Mike Leach team with a 20.5-point? Like, I know Vanderbilt is garbage.
They almost won last week.
I almost took Mississippi State at the Degeneration Dome today, but I was like, what am I doing? No, calm down. You're having some sort of fever dream right now.
Have you heard my story on Vanderbilt betting this year?
No,
I got on this show in this segment and said, look, this is the lock in the history of football, there's no chance this doesn't cover. Vanderbilt is laying like 13 or something against UConn, who has totally quit. Vanderbilt's trying. Like, there's no chance they will run away from UConn. And they needed a last-second field goal to win, and they did not even.
Didn't cover that 13.
They weren't even close to covering. And I was very adamant. I said, "Look, I'm wagering 0% of my tiny net worth on this game. I will not be wagering a penny, but you should mortgage your home." And somebody called the Tiger Zone and said they did mortgage their home, and they were now living under I-10.
Well, that's on them. You got to take personal responsibility at the end of the day. But no, it's Vanderbilt is garbage. But the variance of Mike Leach makes it impossible to take Mississippi State to cover a 20.5-point spread.
I thought they would cover last week against Bama.
I mean, Jake took them to cover last week in the DJ Dome. They're just this is the Mike Leach experience.
But they were so comfortable. Like, Rodgers was throwing 3-yard pass after 4-yard pass after 6-yard pass, and like they knew who they were, and their defense was reasonable. I thought the Bama would sit back and they'd make a couple. No, but
again, this is exactly what Mississippi State does every single week, where they have an offense that requires you, and it's a bit like the LSU offense when they weren't running the ball. It's an offense that requires you to be right 10 out of 10 times. Yeah. Like you can do so many good things, and then it all gets erased because you couldn't do it the 9th and 10th time in a row.
You know what Saturday tomorrow is? It's the third Saturday in October. Very important in the Southeastern Conference because Tennessee and Alabama get together and they just square up in the Vols. 15 years in a row, lose. And they're 25-point dogs this week in Tuscaloosa. And they'll lose again.
There's an old video of an Alabama fan. I think it's around 07, something like that. And
that's the last time they won.
Yes, okay, exactly, right? And it's the Alabama fan kind of cursing Tennessee. At the time of that video, Tennessee had won 10 of 12.
Yeah. That's what Bama fans don't quite get. This is not a reflection of how great Alabama is. It's a reflection of one human, one guy.
Yes.
One
exactly.
guy, not your state, not your stadium, not your tradition. One human. Yeah. When he's gone, it stops.
Yeah.
And they don't get that. They think it's just their birthright.
You sons of, just wait. The fall is coming, and it's going to hurt all the worse for the heights you once occupied.
Can you imagine the guy who takes over that program?
No, it sounds
if
horrible.
He goes 10-2 to the Sugar Bowl, there will be. They may burn his house down.
Bro, they don't get a first down, and my group text is popping off with like, Bill O'Brien freaking sucks. Oh my God, Pete Golding, what are you doing? You're the worst coordinator. It's like every single week. The group, because a bunch of my high school friends all went to Alabama because they were dumb and it was easy to get into at the time, and it's wild, man. Their lack of perspective is truly shocking with the common man's college football experience.
It truly is. South Carolina going to College Station, 19.5 is the number there. A&M kind of figured it out with Calzada a little bit. I still can't figure out the Alabama game, and I'm pissed about it.
Okay, so here's what I would say, is that for a lot of times this year, I've argued for, why don't we allow Max Johnson time to develop, right? He's going into his 6th start, his 7th start. So I guess I have to take my own advice there, and I need to extend that to Calzada. Because, yes, did he struggle horribly early on? He looked horrible. And granted, he lost a quarterback battle to Haynes King, who didn't look great either. So it's like there's a lot working against him. But he's taking steps forward. I mean, obviously what he did against Bama was mind-blowing in terms of week-to-week improvement. But then he built on it last week. And so I'm like, okay, if I'm going to allow Max Johnson that room to improve, I'll allow Calzada that room to improve as well. Though, again, I think A&M winning that game is the greater of two evils. Like, unless Alabama misses the playoff, then maybe it was worth it.
Right, if they lose to Georgia.
But still, now all of a sudden, the fact that A&M, they're in a great position.
Yeah.
The fact that they won puts them in a great position. Like, I hate it. Them being 0-3 in the SEC and yelling about Jimbo would have been so much better than him getting his feather in the cap win that he can write home about and make hay off of for years.
It's all I care about for the rest of the LSU football game, that somehow, some way, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, LSU comes out and plays their best.
Well, I mean, look. I think the road to beating A&M may arguably be easier than the road to beating Ole Miss in a lot of ways because of quarterback play. Because, like, if Calzada...
Haynes King will be back by then.
Well, whatever. I don't think Haynes King looked great either, right? So it's like, I mean, Corral, if the quarterback is the queen piece, which they are, by far the most impactful, Corral is much more threatening than either one of those guys. So if I offered you beating Ole Miss on Manning Day or beating A&M, you go on A&M?
Not even close.
Okay.
I hadn't been on A&M message board in 2 weeks. It's killing me. I need my fix.
I do love your tweets after the A&M losses about like
I got to get to Texags, and I got to watch their video. I got to see the whole thing.
Like some would think that at the end of this long day, I'm a bit too tired to go peruse the message board.
I get that ice cube out of the freezer, drop it in the highball glass, the scotch goes in, and I'm just I'm a made man.
Oh my God, you're like Randy off of South Park when he's trolling and he sits down with like his wine glass and he sits on his keyboard
I get
and go yell at
pants,
people.
and I pour a scotch. It's just I can't get enough. I haven't been able to do it in 2 weeks.
Dude.
It's devastating. So maybe South Carolina will go in there and shock the world. Come on, Coach Beamer. You got no talent, no ability, and a GA is playing quarterback for you. But if you can win this game, I will Venmo you $5.
Zeb Nolan can take that to his grave, though, that he went from being a GA to leading a game-winning drive in an SEC game.
Who's that against, Zeb?
If Andy, that don't matter, dude. That don't matter. SEC.
Last time they won an SEC game was the George H.W. Bush administration.
You know who it was? It was against an SEC team. Okay, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
They do get the checks from the network.
If I'm telling Zeb's story, that's all that matters.
T-Bob's got a stat that he can't wait for you to hear about Jameis. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can. Understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Ruffino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal.
Join us for Monday's edition of Hunt and Hill. We'll hear from Ed Ogeron. We'll go up to Seattle and hear from Sharif Isaac getting ready for Saints and Seahawks. Hunt and Hill, noon to 2 weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
About 25 minutes left in the workday for us on a Friday. Got happy hour at the box a little bit later. Excited to get into a little bit of that. And it's a full football weekend. Saints on Monday against Seattle, so we'll have Monday's show to get ready for that game. But you've got some interesting Jameis nugget over there.
Yes, I do. So I apologize if you heard this in our show, but I do find it kind of fascinating. This comes from our friend, Jameis 1 of 1. Who is the John the Baptist to Jameis's Jesus Christ. It's crazy. He remains anonymous. I've had him on the radio multiple times now. He will not give me a phone number. He will not give me a name. He tells me to just call him 1 of 1. He's called me from a blocked number. We've talked on the phone. So he is quite literally a completely anonymous, but completely Jameis stan. And he's written a book about it, about Jameis derangement, all that. But, he's got numbers like this. Okay? Let's look at the passer ratings. Some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL on third down and in the red zone. Tom Brady, 88.7 on third down, 109 in the red zone.
That's very good.
Pat Mahomes, 92.7 on third down, 93.6 in the red zone. Lamar Jackson, 58 on third down. Could be better there. 102 in the red zone. Josh Allen, 92 on third down, 93 in the red zone.
Those are all good, except for the Lamar on third.
Jameis Winston, 113 on third down, 135 in the red zone. You were talking, and that is just this year, but one of one's core pillars.
One of one.
Yes. That is kind of funny sounding. But one of one, because his name is 1 of 1. That's what he says.
Right.
So one of one's core pillars of his Jameis argument coming into the year is that there's like a 5-year sample size where he is like significantly better. I think it was in the red zone and on third down the top. It's like Jameis, when it matters most, does a very good job of locking in. And it's funny this stat cropped up because just watching Saints games this year, the other day, I was like, man, I wish I had like better access to stats or wanted to do the actual legwork because I would love to know what Jameis has been on third down in the red zone because I feel like I've seen a ton of third down touchdowns in the red zone, third and goal type of touchdowns, and lo and behold, the numbers support that 113, 135. Now, the volume of Jameis has not been as much, which is kind of by design from the New Orleans Saints right now. But when you look at the early relationship of Peyton and Jameis, if you're telling me you can't build off of that sort of situational football, I mean, the two most important situations in the game of football, third down in the red zone, ironically, the two areas, not ironic, but funnily enough, the two areas where the defense for LSU struggles the most on third down and in the red zone, like that's how you win football games. That's how the Saints are 3-2, despite having a huge negative yardage differential. They have this weird, Luke Johnson had a great numbers-based piece about this, where the Saints have a very odd disconnect where, I can't remember the exact number, but they are like one of the only teams ever where they're, I think, 5th in the NFL in point differential. Like they're averaging winning games like 7.5, and they're 25th in yardage differential. They get outgained by an average of like 80 or 100 or something along those lines.
Well, the Carolina game was a disaster. So
and Underhill pointed that out, so that's a bit of an outlier there. But it's like, okay, well, how do you achieve that? It's because you're great situationally.
Right.
And so although they're not maybe getting to these red zone opportunities as much as they would want to, when they get there, they're paying off. And a lot of that is due to quarterback play. I mean, that's when it's supposed to be hardest to play quarterback, is third down in the red zone. And that's when Jameis has been at his best. So there is still, dude, the same way we're allowing for growth from Max Johnson or Calzada, let's allow for growth in the Peyton system from Jameis Winston. Because you're sitting here at 3-2. Like I said, you've been very good situationally, and you think with time it will only start to get better and better. I mean, I love the clip where he was talking about, I asked Sean Payton what I should get better on over the bye week, and James' direct quote is that he sent me a very healthy text message about what I could work on, and he's been working on those things. So, no, I'm still I'm with Jameis 101. I'm still a firm Jameis stan.
You want to play some games the rest of the show?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll play some over-under right now. Matt Corral, total yards against LSU, 390. Last year he went over 500. Over 390. He averages 363. I think there's probably a good chance. Although I do think his running will be limited a little bit this week.
He averages 363?
He averages 363.
I'll still go.
I think so too. Ty Davis Price, rushing yards 125. That's a healthy number. Bad defense.
Over. If they don't go over, they're not winning the game. I think
that's correct. I think that's correct. Lane Kiffin, fourth down tries, 3.5.
Under.
I got to go.
I don't know if you're going to force him into fourth down enough.
Well, that's not going to be good.
Well, no, I mean, okay, so it might be a combination of you don't force him into a ton of fourth downs, and I don't know if they're going to feel the pressure to overextend as much as they have at other times
It's
this
just
year.
what they do. I mean, they go for it on fourth down a time and a half more than second most in the country.
Yeah,
They're
I mean, they average 3.5, don't they?
Yeah. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
Ole Miss SEC wins the rest of the way. I've got their schedule. It's at 3.5 is my over-under. They got home LSU, at Auburn, home A&M, home Vanderbilt, at State.
3.5?
Yep.
Over.
Wow. You got a loss there at Auburn, maybe?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah.
think they beat Vandy.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they beat State, although that's,
Big
I
ball on the
could see
road.
that up in the air. And then I think they'd have to snag two of those other ones, wouldn't they? I mean, whatever. I've been objective. I would love for LSU to win tomorrow, but I don't think I can sit here and pick them to win. Like, I think Ole Miss wins tomorrow. As much as I hate that, I hope that I'm wrong. I'm wrong about stuff all the time. So, yeah, hell yeah. I hope I'm wrong there, too.
Student section, Arch Manning chance, 5.5.
Student section?
Yeah.
No. Arch Manning chance.
Chance.
I thought you meant chance he would be sitting in the
How
student
many times
section.
they chant Arch Manning's name?
Over.
I think it's way over.
Gotta be. I mean, it'll be pregame for sure. It'll be after like a first touchdown for sure. They'll honor Eli at some point, and I'm sure an Eli celebration will turn into an Arch Manning chant. 5.5?
Yeah.
I'm going under, actually. I changed my mind. Sorry.
So
I know
it's
that's
like
bad.
it's like the Russell Shepard thing that happened when the students, sometimes they know and they get all over it. The kid's name's in the end zone.
I was on the field with why am I this pointless now? Why am I blanking? USC back in the day, tragic. Lee passed away. Joe McKnight. I was on the field with Joe McKnight when the LSU student section was chanting Joe McKnight back in the day.
I was in Herget Dorm when he announced on signing day. Everybody was watching ESPNU, and it was the whole deal. The message boards were full of like, Les went in, and then he walked out, and Pete Carroll was like in the driveway with Reggie Bush's Heisman. Like all these stories are going off, and Joe McKnight comes on the screen, and we're freshmen at LSU. We're sitting there watching ESPN, and Joe McKnight's in a like very USC looking tie. And then he says, I'm going to USC. And I'm telling you, I heard bangs and noises and profanities just throughout the dorm hall. I was like, oh, like this is going to be the greatest player we've ever had.
There was a lot right on that one.
There
It
was
felt
a lot.
like.
There was a lot. And I was going to do a bunch of like SEC ones, and then I didn't get to it. But I did do one, and I'm interested to see what your answer is.
Okay.
Clark Lay, Vanderbilt coach.
Yeah.
Career Southeastern Conference wins 3.5.
Career before, well, I guess you probably wouldn't get another SEC head job.
Yeah, this is probably his
Oh.
That's basically what I'm saying. His Vanderbilt career, is he going to win 4 league games?
I'm going to give Clark the over here. I think we're being a bit slave to the moment. He took over a horrible situation.
He did.
It's his first year, changing the culture. I'll give Clark the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say over.
The problem with it is that right now, the teams that they would generally beat, they don't generally beat Florida or Georgia.
No.
So here's the teams they usually beat. Tennessee, do we feel like Heupel's got a chance to get it moving on offense a little bit?
It's more exciting than it's been in years.
It's going to be better than Pruitt or Dooley or any of that garbage. Kentucky, Stoops has got them so solid right now. Like, they're not going to go there and beat them.
Yeah.
And then Ole Miss is their permanent, and Lane's kind of rolling a little bit. Like, that's the teams they usually beat. Like, who's he going to beat? South Carolina stinks, and Missouri doesn't look very good.
So I think that there's his opportunity. Isn't South Carolina, Mizzou? He has to. I mean, him and Shane Beamer, he's starting at a worse spot and will have less success, but they're not starting at like drastically different spots.
I'm taking the under. Of course, I famously bet Hester that Les would never win a Big 12 game. He won one, kind of, and I didn't pay my bet.
Who did he end up beating?
They beat Texas Tech because Texas Tech blocked a field goal.
That's right.
And then the kid tried to pick it up, so they got to retry it. That was the only one he won.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Wow, that's a tough way to lose that bet.
It is. All right, we'll take it or leave it next to close out Friday. It's Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Join us for another Football Friday on Early Line as we give our final thoughts on Saints Seahawks and LSU Ole Miss. We also round out our weekend six-pack for Week 7 in the NFL and Week 8 in college football. Join us 2 to 3 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's wrap up a week with some take it or leave it. T-Bob, we finish every show with this. I'll just give you a scenario, and you can either take it or leave it. Ben Simmons will never play a game for the Philadelphia 76ers again. Take it or leave it.
Believe it. Take it.
I'll take it. Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
I think I know where you're going with this one, too, based on the discussion we had a little bit earlier. Dallas Cowboys, best team in the NFC. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. You're gonna put who in the world's gonna sit here and put any team not named the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the best team in the NFC?
Arizona's unbeaten. The Packers are beating the brakes off everybody.
Okay, I mean, have we watched football in the Tom Brady era?
We have.
Until just stick with that until it's proven to be not true. Also, the Cowgirls will always disappoint.
There's one we're building towards here that I can't wait to get your answer on. Jeremy Hill in Mexico with his margaritas on the beach doesn't watch the game on Saturday. Take it or leave it.
Ooh, hard take it. Hard take it. Absolutely, dude. Maybe I'm trying to think about the time zone difference. Maybe
he said
checking.
He goes, "It's on ESPN." Like, can I watch it on my phone? I was like, "It's on CBS."
I
don't have that.
Yeah,
app.
I was saying, maybe checking in on his phone, like the scores, and then watch the highlights. Like, damn, man, like a bit later on. But no, I don't, dude. I don't think he's gonna be. He's gonna be. Is he in Cabo?
He is not in Cabo.
Oh,
he's somewhere else.
Okay, well, I was gonna say he'll be a mango deck at the lap dance competition, but maybe not.
If he's in Cabo, he needs to be at Cabo del Sol, Palmilla.
That's great.
Cabo Real, great. All very, very good. My favorite golf place in the world. Kentucky freshman Ty Washington, he's their point guard, was a 5-star. Got an NIL deal with Porsche. Exactly. It got an NIL deal with Porsche. Do you think he's got a better ride than Coach Cal on campus now?
No, I mean, look, dude. What car deal does Cal have? I guess Cal has whatever car deal he wants.
Exactly.
Still not bad grabbing Porsche, dude. I mean, that's up
As
there.
A freshman who hadn't played a minute.
That's what I'm saying. Like, normally the big dogs get like Chargers and stuff. So yeah, I think that a Porsche is a step up.
You got some good options up there at Kentucky with. Although if you're a freshman, you can't really get a bourbon deal. Well, you can't do alcohol anyway, so
no
good.
No.
On to the next one. Pitt, it's a 3.5-point favorite hosting Clemson. Pitt gonna take that. Is they gonna win that game? Take it or leave it.
No,
I'm bad.
I'm leaving this, but that is the takeaway there. The takeaway is that Vegas is sitting here and saying, like, so we do our Degeneration Dome segment where we do picks, and the doctors, we have a team of doctors from Oshner that shout out Oshner that do it, and they wrote me Clemson plus 3.5, and I announced it this morning as Clemson minus 3.5 because I was like, no, I mean, surely it's not the case, but no, Clemson plus.
They haven't been a dog since Lamar Jackson.
The shine's coming off of Clemson a little bit. I mean, I know we all love to watch people fall from grace the same day that we like them to rise back up, but it certainly feels like Dabo's shine. Maybe the Clemson era is starting to wane a little bit.
Fine with me. Apparently, traffic is a little bit of an issue in the Bay Area. Klay Thompson commutes to work every day on a 37-foot fishing boat. Take it or leave that mode of commute to practice.
Absolute take it, dude.
I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can afford it, dude, and I'm sure it's quicker.
Oh yeah.
And you're not driving, which is always awesome. Also, I think we can all appreciate this. Even if the time is similar, constant motion compared to stop and go is way more enjoyable. So 1,000% take, and it's not as scary as maybe like flying every day.
That's exactly right. All right, this is the one I was building to that I want to ask you. LSU has a head football coach in place before Zion Williamson plays a game with the Pelicans. Take it or leave it.
When is early signing day? December 16th?
You figure LSU
they're going to have one like right at the beginning of December.
The last game.
Yes. So right at the beginning of December, they'll have one. I mean, and Zion feels bad right now.
It does not feel good.
I mean, they're talking about reevaluating if he can run after the scans in, 2 weeks? And that kicked in maybe a few days ago, the 2-week time he did. I will say LSU. I can't remember if that's take it or leave it, but I will say I think LSU actually has a I think LSU actually has a coach in place before Zion plays a game, and I would love to be wrong, but I mean, there's all these rumors about him not being in shape, getting north of 300 pounds. Although some of these pictures have been a little misleading in how some have been edited versus like just a raw picture, there's enough evidence where you can see that he is noticeably bigger than last season, or he was at media day, and he's still not running. So you can't imagine that it's gotten much better. I'm telling y'all, dude, no, Jacques, I don't think Zion's career is over at all. I think Zion will probably end up being fine. I don't know what his time with the Pelicans ends up like being, but my Pelicans fanhood's in a tenuous spot right now.
Yeah, that's understandable. My LSU baseball fanhood, not in a tenuous spot. I'm going to go watch them and have a beverage. Gavin Dugas will be wearing number 8 for the Tigers this year. That was announced today. Matt Beck, of course, wore it last year. Tell them what you're doing this afternoon.
Okay, I'm going to get in. So right from here, I'm going to Rouse's. You come holler at me. I'll be there 3 to 5 off of Burbank and Lee, hand out some gift cards and whatnot. I'm going to go straight from there to a little St. George Fair with the kiddos. Then, obviously, tomorrow I'm going to fill in on pregame instead of Hilly. Then we got Don Juan. I'll be there watching the whole game. And then on Sunday, my wife's got to work all day, and I'm going to be taking the kids to 2 different children's birthday parties.
How about them apples? That's going to just about wrap up our work week. T-Bop and Matt, 9:30 tomorrow. I'm on the air at 12:30, getting you ready for LSU and Ole Miss. We're back Monday. We'll hear from Ed Ogeron. Not usually the case on the bye week, but we will. And Hill and I will get back revisiting LSU and Ole Miss. And, of course, talking about Saints and Seahawks. Thanks to our crack production staff back there.
Yes, sir.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We are back Monday with another edition of Hunt